Mr. Mata, I think you're good to go.
Okay. Can we go to the first slide, please? Next one. Perfect. Good evening, district families. I'm Francisco Mata, Coordinator of Public Relations and Community Services. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this very important presentation on the reopening of our schools. To listen to this presentation in Spanish, please call 1-314-474-3801 and enter access code 174-933-261#. To access the PowerPoint presentation in Spanish, please go to our district webpage and click on the link for District School Reopening Telebriefing for Parents Spanish PowerPoint Presentation. Tomorrow, Friday, April 9th, I will email you the YouTube link for the recording of this presentation in both Spanish and English, along with the PowerPoint slides in both Spanish and English. Buenas tardes, familias del distrito. Soy Francisco Mata, coordinador de Relaciones Públicas y Servicios Comunitarios. Bienvenidos y gracias por acompañarnos en esta importante presentación sobre la reapertura de nuestras escuelas. Para escuchar esta presentación en español, llame al 1-314-474-3801 e ingrese el código de acceso 1-74-933-261 signo de gato. Para acceder a la presentación de PowerPoint en español, por favor vaya a la página web del distrito y haga clic en el enlace Reapertura de Escuelas del Distrito, Presentación Virtual para Padres, Diapositivas de PowerPoint en español. Mañana, viernes 9 de abril, les enviaré por correo electrónico el enlace de YouTube para la grabación de esta presentación en español e en inglés, junto con los dispositivos de PowerPoint, tanto en español y en inglés. Thank you again for joining us, and now it is my pleasure to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Gina Potter. Gracias nuevamente por acompañarnos. Ahora es un placer de presentarles a nuestra superintendente, doctora Gina Potter.
Hello, San Ysidro School District families, and welcome to our district-wide virtual parent school reopening telebriefing. I'm excited to announce the reopening of our schools beginning next week on April 12th with the launch of our hybrid learning program. Our educational team is eager to welcome students back to school and to see the joy that will come with students seeing and interacting with both their teachers and friends in person. For our preschool and kindergarten students, there will be the eagerness and anticipation of coming to school for the very first time. And for our 6th and 8th grade students, they will have the wonderful opportunity to end the school year with their friends and to experience end-of-year activities that make school come alive. To our families, I sincerely thank you for your patience and dedication to your child during this most difficult academic year, as you have stayed by your child's side and diligently supported them with their distance learning and now hybrid learning programs. As parents, you have served as the most critical support system for your child this year, and for this, we express to each of you our sincere gratitude. It is with our district theme of the year, Together, or Juntos, that we will bring each other the caring, courage, and strength we need to safely reopen our schools for our students. Early on in the pandemic, our governing board members identified safety as the top priority for our district. And I am proud to share with you that our district's facilities and maintenance team have implemented the highest standards of safety recommended for schools by the California Department of Public Health. The multi-layered safety measures implemented in each of our schools includes cloth and disposable masks for all students and staff, distancing protocols, hand washing and sanitizing, posting of safety signage, daily cleaning and disinfecting of classrooms and schools, daily temperature and health screenings, enhanced air filtration upgrades in every classroom, asymptomatic COVID testing with parent permission, vaccine access to all district employees prior to schools reopening, and more. Spring has brought a sense of hope as our country was placed in the orange tier this week on April 7th. 38.5% of individuals in San Diego have had their first vaccine, and 22.7% have been fully vaccinated. Over 90% of individuals 65 and older in San Ysidro have been vaccinated, and the majority of schools throughout the state will open, if they're not already reopened, this month of April. Also on April 6th, the governor announced an aspirational goal of reopening the state economy by June 15th, which means the COVID color tiers would be discontinued and schools may be able to fully reopen for full in-person instruction by the beginning of next school year. Thank you for coming together as a united community to help one another survive this pandemic. It is our community's caring, patience, and flexibility that makes us strong and extends humanitarian kindness that continues to bring us hope that life as we once knew will be restored. Now it is my honor to share the stage with a few of our board members, beginning with our board president, Mr. Antonio Martinez, who will join me in expressing excitement for the reopening of our schools and appreciation to our families. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you so much, Dr. Potter. Families, friends, I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for what you've done. This year has not been easy. In fact, more than a year ago today, we would never have thought we'd be where we're at now. But it's because of your help and your collaboration with our teachers and staff that we've been able to make it through this past year. And I can tell you, first and foremost, the priority for us is to ensure that every student in our district has the best quality education. And frankly, without your help, we couldn't have done it. So I just want to say thank you, stay safe, and in the future, the priority will continue to be safety, not just in this school year, but in the upcoming school years, safety for our children, safety for our families, and safety for our community. Thank you again for what you've done. Welcome, and please enjoy our telebriefing. And on that note, I'm going to introduce our board member, Mr. Humberto Burmilan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, for following this live stream. We are so excited to be here, thinking about just the long year that we've had, the difficult time that our district has been going through. And as Mr. Martinez mentioned, we owe it all to the families, to the students, to the teachers, to the employees of our district, to leadership, everybody working in this district together to make sure that we get through this very difficult storm that we've been going through. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of things that we need to accomplish to get back to normalcy. But this is the first step that we're taking so that we can get back to what we remember as normal, if we're going to get back to what was normal. I think there are a lot of opportunities that we need to take advantage of as leaders in this community, as parents, as students, because this pandemic taught us a lot. I do want to express my heartfelt and my thoughts and prayers to anybody that was severely impacted by the pandemic. I know some of you might have lost family members. On behalf of our board and our district, we share, the hardship that you've gone through. But as we've mentioned, just in this small moment that we've been together already, we're excited of taking this step forward because we know that we can get back to what it was before, and we want to do it together. So thank you so much for all of the work that you've done from home, all the work that you've done to get to this point with us, and let's continue moving forward. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm really excited to be here and really excited for where we're going as a district. And with that, I will now share the microphone with our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. David Farkas. Dr. Farkas.
Thank you very much, sir. As our board just spoke, it's very important that we understand, as exciting as this time is, that we are all going through various levels of stress and anxiety. one of our emotions is excitement. We are excited to bring our students back and to see the opportunity to have collaboration and togetherness. And as we enter that phase, fortunately, in the near future, next week, we just want to keep our eye on our students as far as not just academics and safety, but their wellness. And this slide here just gives us a few pointers and tips on what we can pay attention to when it comes to our students and ourselves, for that matter, to make sure that we're breathing and taking time to reflect and enjoy our day and just take care of ourselves, to rest and make sure we get our good night's sleep, to exercise and try to make smart choices, even though sometimes it's difficult, to make smart choices with our diet, and that's also part of our nutrition program at our schools. And then also to remember that, like former President Kermilan said about being flexible and caring with each other, making sure that we are having the opportunity to realize we've all been through different stressors and maybe even had some trauma in our family and our friends. So with all that said, we are, as a district and as a community, keeping our eye on our own wellness, our friends' wellness, and our students' wellness. There's some examples, just some ideas as far as what a parent could possibly, or a friend could ask another friend, or a parent could ask a child at the end of a day as they come back from an exciting entry to school again. I know my wife had most success with my sons at night before bed. They were more chatty than during the day. Those are just some questions we could ask our students just to see how their day's going and to connect with them as they enter the new phase of hybrid learning for April. So that's a slide that we can reflect upon. On the next slide, continues on when it comes to restorative practices and what we can do to support ourselves and our students at our campuses and at home. And this slide is about returning from a pandemic, which we've never said before. Returning from a pandemic is obviously very stressful. And there it is again, caring and flexible, making sure that we understand everybody's been through a lot and giving that extra layer of patience for everyone we work around and we work with. Acknowledging we are healing. We have many different stressors, and we have some unfortunate, sad situations that have happened in our lives. And it's important that we reflect and we go through the process of possibly grieving and going through those times where it just takes a little bit of time to get back and moving at the pace we were before the pandemic. Listening to everything that goes with the present, making sure that we're following our safety rules that help keep us in a good spot when it comes to our school and everything that goes with our classrooms, but also knowing that the future looks really bright. We're very hopeful and optimistic in a very cautious and excited way, but we also are planning every day to make sure that we are ready to begin the next phase of reopening and then look for a very bright school year next year after we get into the summer. So those are just ideas and key points when it comes to returning from something we've never been through before, and also keeping tabs and keeping an eye on our friends and family. Next slide. This one here is back to our superintendent, Dr. Gina Potter.
Thank you, Dr. Farkas. In our district, we're so grateful to the courageous and safety-focused leadership of our governing board members. With that in mind, on March 11th, they took action to allow our schools to reopen next week, the week of April 12th, and we're ever so grateful to them for that decision. In addition, they allowed us to launch not one but two programs. So families have the opportunity for beginning next Monday to choose between having their students in a distance learning academy that we've run all year or switching them to the hybrid learning program. And with that said, our third family survey that went district-wide indicates that approximately 54% of our families have chosen to engage their students in the hybrid learning program starting next week, and about 46% will continue to have their students remain in the distance learning program. Both programs are fantastic options for our students. We wanted to provide our families with a vaccine update. We were ever so grateful that the county health department and county supervisors partnered with the San Diego County Office of Education and VIVA, which is the county's primary insurance provider to educators in San Diego. And these three entities were able to create the VIVA Vaccinates program for all transitional kindergarten to 12th grade educators in the county of San Diego. They extended over 100,000 invitations to educators countywide. And in our district, all 600 of our staff members received a VIVA vaccine appointment invitation for their first vaccine sometime between February 27th and March 8th. And they had the opportunity to have a second vaccine appointment on or before April 2nd if they so chose. In San Diego County, I mentioned earlier that just over 38% have received their first dose of the vaccine, and 22.7% are fully vaccinated. And in about 7 days from today, beginning on April 15th, all 16-year-old individuals in our county or older will be eligible to make a vaccine appointment if they would like to. We were excited to hear the news recently that Pfizer announced a successful trial for children with the vaccine, and they estimate that they'll be able to offer the vaccine to children ages 12 to 15 beginning this summer. And early in 2022, at the beginning of next year, they anticipate that their vaccine will be available to children who are under the age of 12. The California Department of Public Health Safe School Reopening Research has been posted on their website, and we wanted to add the links for you so you can easily access them if you're interested in the details of what the Department of Health at the state level indicates would be multi-layered safety measures for schools to reopen safely. And so with that said, they have a Safe Schools for All plan for the state of California. They have a school study summary. They have a Safe Schools for All plan summary, a rationale, and evidence summary as well. All of these are active links on our slides, and you'll be able to access them by clicking on them if you're interested in these safety details for our schools. Also, the California Department of Public Health Safe Schools Plan for All indicates that the evidence keeps growing that the right precautions effectively inhibit COVID-19 spread in schools. There's both national and international studies that demonstrate relatively low risks and high benefits of educating students in classrooms, particularly in elementary grades, that children probably have a lower rate of infection compared to adults, and that elementary school children do not seem to be a major source of transmission. In communities with many COVID cases, they're not seeing outbreaks in schools that follow distancing and masking and excellent ventilation guidance. And they also indicate that we can stop the spread in schools by layering and carefully implementing mitigation strategies that include mass, cohorting, which is small groups, proper ventilation, washing hands, testing, and symptom screening. The California Department of Public Health evidence summary indicates that if children do get COVID less frequently, there are two possible explanations. The first explanation is that children tend to produce fewer ACE2 receptors, and these receptors are the doorway into human cells for SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19. And the second explanation is that children's immune systems frequently fight other coronaviruses like common colds, so they may be better primed to fight COVID-19, demonstrating many antibodies against the S2 spike. And now back to our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. David Farkas.
When Dr. Potter began the telebriefing today, she mentioned multi-layered safety measures that are in place in our district. Here's a list, because we all know that it's not just one measure that protects us, led by the new fortunate implementation of our vaccines across our country. Also our mask wearing, we know that's part of the big four that we'll talk about in a few minutes, and still remains very important, our masking. And then of course our distance and hand washing, keeping an eye on our signs to direct not only adults but our students on our campuses and in our district areas, and then also in our community as well. Frequent disinfection. Temperature screening, we're very proud to have an upgraded temperature screening system where the students walk in, and you'll see a picture soon, and have their wrist thermometer check from their wrist, so it's fast and accurate. Our Hvac upgrades, very exciting to have new filters and new system in place. And then, of course, moving forward on any kind of tracing when there's opportunities for contact tracing, along with health screening and the onset now of probability of asymptomatic testing as early as at the end of next week at some schools. So we're excited about all the multi-layered safety measures and how they work together to keep us safe. The big four is listed on the left, and that's probably something we've seen in different ways when the pandemic began. And these are the examples that we would see at our school sites and our district sites, and that again is about physical distancing, face coverings, and including washing our hands with soap and water. The first arrow is the videos for safety procedures, and I want to thank our district staff. We had many members of our staff help with the video that you'll see, including Mr. Acevedo, his editing and production of our safety video for our students so that they could see what it looks like on school sites to be safe, and the mitigations that we have, including mask wearing. So they'll be able to see that through that link. And many of our teachers I want to thank for sharing that with students already, so they're comfortable and they know what their schools are going to look like. Also, the next link is a very short but cartoon that really is a fun video to watch, that also has the message for especially our little ones. So that would be something I would recommend, the back to school safety link. CDC mask wearing, very short, just an example of how masks protect us and how we wear masks. Our COVID-19 information, before students move from their bed to their vehicle to go to school, we ask our families, our parents, our big brothers and big sisters to make sure that everybody understands we don't leave our house if we have those symptoms, and those symptoms are listed on that slide, and those are the same symptoms that we've learned from the very beginning of the pandemic. So we want to make sure that we screen ourselves before we even leave the home to make sure we don't have any of the COVID symptoms. And then finally, our COVID safety plan. It's a lengthy plan, but it covers everything that we talk about this evening, along with everything that we have in place at our schools to protect everyone. And that's also on the San Ysidro School District website. Next slide. So we're excited to be able to give out the students as they enter our sites, even though they're going to come with face coverings over their nose and mouth. We're also going to be issuing these San Ysidro special logo, very fashionable and very effective, covering the nose and the mouth and chin, and it rounds under the chins for a nice seal. Very safe cloth mask. It doesn't have to be worn by our students, but face coverings do, that cover the nose and around the chin. We ask that bandanas are not worn because they do not seal around the bottom of the chin. Therefore, air particles can come out from underneath. So we want to be safe and have a sealed up mask like this face covering here. If students need extra masks, we do have them on our campuses, and they will be issued to them. And our staff also has done a great job of wearing masks, including these covers that are more of a surgical mask. So many different masks can be worn as long as they seal underneath the chin. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it over to our Director of Maintenance Operations, Mr. Acevedo, for all his hard work and all the team's hard work for what you're going to see now in these pictures.
Good afternoon, and once again, we're really excited to bring the students and the staff back on site to continue their education this year. As you can see here, directional signage has been installed at all our schools to keep the children and the staff safe when they're on site. Next slide. Along with the directional signage, there's signage around the campus on how to properly wear your mask, how to wash your hands. You can see that middle photo there is the coronavirus alert, the symptoms for the COVID systems. And also here in the bathrooms, we see how we kind of separated all the children where they can use and cannot use certain locations in the restroom. Next slide. Also, for the health and safety of the students, we installed bottle fillers. Drinking fountains will not be available, but bottle fillers have been installed in all campuses. So students can fill water bottles that will be handed out to them the first day when they return on campus. Next slide. As Dr. Farkas was saying, when students all arrive to the site, they're gonna take their temperatures. You can see the scanners there. As the students will arrive, they will scan their wrist near the yellow pad. And if the temperature is over 100.4 degrees, the system will alarm to let us know that symptoms are high. On the tablets there, the tablets for all visitors and staff members who arrive to the site take their temperatures. And the same protocol is there also. It will take their temperature, anything over 100.4 degrees. This will turn red and alarm also. Next slide. In all our classrooms, the big HVAC units that feed the air conditioning to the classrooms, we installed the needle point bipolar ionization air purification systems in all HVAC systems. This is known to kill pathogens and bacteria in all classrooms. They're seeing the effective rate at about 90% at this time, and it's constantly working all day long when students are on site and staff's on site. Next slide. In all portables throughout the district, we have installed air scrubbers with MERV 13 and HEPA filters. And in all HVAC units, we installed MERV 11 filters. Next slide. In classrooms where the sinks cannot be accessed behind this, the staff member on site, due to the fact the sink is behind the teacher, where we have installed these portable hand washing stations so students can wash their hands before they enter the classroom. Next slide. Along with the hand washing stations inside the classrooms that have sinks available, there has always been hand soap there so they can use. And what we installed to go along with those the hand soap is hand sanitizer. And next slide. In classrooms, we have installed shields, plexiglass shields on all desks. This is kind of an example of what we're going to be using in a middle school, where A will be used in the first period, B will be used in the second period, so we can come in and disinfect all A desks before they start the third period. In third period, they move over to the A desk. And in all elementary schools, the desks have been set 6 foot apart, and the students will probably be using the A side at all times. Next slide. Also throughout the campus, in all offices, even teacher desks, we have installed plexiglass shields for their protection. Next slide. Daily disinfection will be completed with Waxy 710 HP. Has a 1 minute kill time, and they're going to be using this nightly to clean all desks and chairs. Next slide. And surfaces.
The next slide is a chart that we've been tracking probably back into the fall when the tiered system was first rolled out. The tiered system is based on the county metric for 7-day case rates per 100,000 residents. The county is the top row underneath the dates. And as you can see, fortunately, the infection rate, the 7-day case rate, has steadily declined from January at the peak all the way down to where we get into the March data points of 4.9 and 5.5. Those two metrics, along with the 6.8, were very positive because those brought us in the county into the red tier, which gave us the opportunities to open schools with more flexibility to bring our students and staff back. The other two rows represent our zip codes for our school district. And as you can see, those zip codes had high case rates, very high, and fortunately steadily declined to the point now where the 92154 is at a data point of an orange metric, even though zip codes really aren't tiered or colored. They are tracked, especially by our district. So the good news is the county's now also entering the orange tier, and that brings us more flexibility. So we're, like we said at the very beginning of the telebriefing, we're very optimistic that with the proper safety mitigations, including vaccinations and community spirit, we can make this April a real positive month for our students and for our families and staff, and move into the finally into our finishing of our school year in our classrooms and on our campuses. Next slide. This slide here is not only a little information, but also a thank you slide to our wonderful child nutrition service team. The team has been working nonstop every week. There has been no breaks for the child nutrition service team. Most importantly, through this whole process and this pandemic, there's been weekly food distributions, meal distributions at up to 3 sites. Those will continue on Wednesdays at La Mirada Elementary School and Willow Elementary School. Still continuing to be the drive-through services, and those will be for our students and children of ages 1 through 18. The hybrid learning program, which we're kicking off and excited about next week, those students coming onto campuses won't receive breakfast when they first arrive, but shortly after we begin the school day, there will be an opportunity for what we're calling a snack, which will be enough to give them almost like a late breakfast. So that will be an opportunity to give them a little energy and something in their stomach before they finish their school day on the campus. And then as they leave the campuses, they will be able to receive a grab-and-go lunch as they walk towards their vehicle to be picked up or walking home. So those lunches will be available every day the students are on campus. Next slide. I am going to now pass it over to our Director of Education Technology, Mr. Todd Lewis.
Everyone. The technology department has been out to all the classrooms preparing for the start of school. One of our main goals is to make the transition back to the classroom as smooth as possible. We do ask for help with a few things. One of the things we're asking is for the students to bring their Chromebooks to school, bring them fully charged, bring their power cords, and the headphones if possible. We also want to share a few ways that the families can reach out to us when they need support. We have an email address that they can reach out to us. It's itsupport@sysdschools.org. Again, that's itsupport@sysdschools.org. And we also have a phone number you can reach out to us to call us in event of emergency. We also have a number of ways that teachers and staff can reach out to us when they have work orders or need assistance as well. Thank you and welcome back.
Good evening, San Isidro families. My name is Cynthia Monreal Gonzalez. I'm the Executive Director of Educational Services, and it's my pleasure this evening to be with you to share the third phase of our instructional programs for this school year, which we are about to launch next week. Phase 3 of instructional programs for elementary schools will continue with a distance learning academy Monday through Friday for all of our families who chose that option for their children. They will continue to log on to the virtual classroom for their instruction. In addition to that distance learning academy, we will also offer an option for all of our students at the preschool and elementary school levels to attend school 1 to 2 days per week, with Monday, Wednesday, and or Friday being distance learning program days for all students. But for our hybrid students, Tuesday, Thursday, and or Friday would be hybrid students on campus, and those days will just depend on staffing availability, but that information will be shared with you shortly if it has not already been by your school site principals. Next slide, please. So when we pivot to our middle school instructional programs, again, we will offer the Distance Learning Academy for all of our families who chose that option for their children. That will again be Monday through Friday through virtual instruction on Google Classroom. And then we will also offer a hybrid option with 1 to 2 days per week, with Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday being dedicated distance learning program days, Monday and Tuesday being hybrid days for our students on campus. The students on campus and the students at home during those hybrid days would be receiving simultaneous instruction from their teacher. Next slide, please. Our preschool program will also, again, have distance and hybrid learning options. The Distance Learning Academy will run Monday through Friday. That will be 1 hour of online daily instruction. Our hybrid learning program will be 1 to 2 days per week. In-person instruction for students who do come to our campuses will be for 3 hours, and our online students will log in for 1 hour of daily instruction. Those schedules are almost finalized, and the preschool director, Ms. Lorena Varela Reed, will be providing those to all of her families. When we look at the elementary school schedules, we wanted to give you a really good idea of start times and end times and lunch times for all of your students. So I'm going to kind of go slow because it can be confusing. There's a lot of information here. If you have a TK kindergarten student, your children should arrive at school on their school days at 8:40 a.m. That's 5 minutes before instruction begins, just to allow us the process of having them arrive and go through the safety protocols that Dr. Farkas explained in his slides. And their instruction will begin promptly at 8:45. They will have a break, snack break, as Dr. Farkas said on his slides. That snack break will include a district-provided snack, unless you want to send one for your child as well, but we will have snacks provided by our child nutrition team. And they will have some time to have that snack outside, then they'll come back in for instruction. They'll continue on with their instruction until 11:15, which will be their dismissal time. On their way to be dismissed to you for pickup, they will take a grab-and-go lunch with them. We will have an hour break to allow them to get home, and then those students will have the opportunity to log back in for small group instruction or independent work online for about 40 minutes. If we go over to the grades 1 through 3, similarly, they have an 8:40 a.m. arrival time, 8:45 instructional time beginning. They have a little bit later lunch time, so their dismissal is 11:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Fridays, if they're a Friday student, it's 11:25 dismissal time. Again, they'd have about an hour in between that dismissal on the school site to get home, and then they would have about an hour of online group opportunities to log back into the Google Classroom with their teacher or be assigned independent work. For grades 4 through 6, their arrival at school is 8:25. They will begin instruction at 8:30, so there is a difference in the instructional time from the lower grades and the upper grades. They will have a lunchtime dismissal of 11:30 a.m. as they start a little earlier. They also end a little earlier. That will again be dismissal time for pickup from their families and to grab their lunch on their way out. Again, there will be about an hour in between lunch and the afternoon online for continued instruction through the Google Classroom. For our distance learning schedule, our families who have opted for distance learning, you can see there's no school arrival time. The instructional times are exactly the same. 8:45 for TK through grade 3, 8:30 for 4 through 6. We'll have lunch on the same schedules as the children at home so that the teachers can teach simultaneously. 11:15 for TK and K, 11:45 for grades 1 through 3, and 11:30 for grades 4 through 6. The Friday lunch times are also listed here, 11:15, 11:25, and 11:40 respectively. There's slight differences with the Friday times, just like on our usual minimum days when kids are on campus in a normal school year. And then after lunch, students will also continue with online instruction, the same exact times as the students who are being dismissed from the hybrid program for them to continue their daily instruction. Next slide, please. Our middle school schedule is a little simpler just because all the students are on one schedule. They will arrive at the school site no earlier than 8:25 to allow them to go through to have their temperature checked. They will begin period 1 or 3, depending on the day of the week that they're at school, at 8:30 a.m. That period would end at 9:15. In between period 1 and 2, they will have a 10-minute snack break. Again, that snack would be a district-provided snack, but you may also send a snack with your child if you prefer. Period 2 would then begin at 9:25, go through 10:10. They would have a passing period that's only 6 minutes because this isn't a snack break. It's just moving from one classroom to another, and then attend either period 3 or period 6. For lunch and dismissal, at 11:01, they are going to be dismissed. They would grab their grab-and-go lunch on their way out to be picked up or to head home. And then approximately an hour later at 12:01, they would have 30-minute increments to log back into the same class that they were on campus for in order to have tutoring and support from their classroom teacher with their assignments in Google Classroom. So that would take them all the way to 1:30, attending 3 30-minute sessions with each of their teachers. On Fridays, the schedule is going to be exactly as it is right now in distance learning for your students. They will come to all 6 of their classes. This is all distance learning on Fridays. That would be 35-minute periods for each of the periods with a couple of built-in 10-minute breaks. Then their lunchtime, and then after their lunchtime, there's an expectation that they would complete another 30 minutes of work asynchronously or on their own independently at home. Next slide, please. School uniforms. It is our district board policy that our students wear school uniforms during the school year. And while we do prefer this, we understand that the circumstances this year are a little different, so we are not going to require it. However, it is our preference. If you do need support with school uniforms, please contact your school's outreach consultant or our district student and family services manager, Veronica Medina. Her email is listed there, veronica.medina@sysdschools.org, and her phone number, this is the district line, 619-428-4476, extension 3083. Again, her extension is 3083. And that takes us back to Dr. David Farkas.
So we realize this presentation has many details. Fortunately, there's not a quiz today, so you can refer back to this presentation shortly after we conclude, and also the resources listed inside the presentation, including what Ms. Gonzalez just spoke of when it comes to schedules. Those are probably the most important for parents and students to understand, as well as obviously one of my favorites, the student videos for entering back to hybrid learning for safety. When we speak of safety, our final mitigation layer is testing. And at school sites, we haven't reopened yet, but we have already in place at 2 of our sites under a pilot program from the University of California at San Diego, the COVID wastewater and testing program. And supported by our YMCA, the students at Smythe and Sunset have had opportunities to have the testing at the sites every week, and the wastewater is also detected if there is any possible detection of COVID. We've had Sunset School at 100% consent, which means every single parent has consented to have given permission for their student to be tested. And that's proven to be a wonderful resource and tool to keep everyone safe. Very easy for those students. They could probably all say it's not a big deal because they just simply swab the very bottom of the nostril. Not a problem. And that's actually what we're going to be implementing at our school sites for April and May at the remaining sites that do not have the UCSD testing. So that information will be coming out, and then if parents are interested, they could follow the consent registration, and that will be coming through most likely through your school to the parents of that school. And we plan on including all of our schools. So that is an exciting next step. Although in the purple tier, you do have to test if you have your schools open at least every other week. In the red tier, the county does not, the public health department does not require testing, but we know how important it is. So we definitely want to have that layer of mitigation out there for our students, our staff, and our families. So look for information coming out. And I also want to thank our staff for being wonderful when it comes to testing on the every other month cycle all the way back to the fall. And now as we get ready to come onto campus, our staff has done a fantastic job of ensuring that they're negative before they're coming back onto our campuses, and they've followed through with that. So a special thank you to the San Ysidro staff for being very safe and very to follow through with the testing. So we're looking forward to rolling that new program out as well. It's called Buy Next Now, and more information will be coming. Next slide. And back to our superintendent, Dr. Gina Potter.
Thank you, Dr. Farkas. So families, we've reached our very last slide of our telebriefing for school reopening. And this is a slide where it's pretty high tech. You're going to take your cell phone, and if you could put your cell phone on the camera, go ahead and turn on your camera and just go to photo. And you could just hover your camera right over this QR code that's sitting on the screen. And so once you hover it over the QR code, what's going to happen is a little Padlet survey. It's going to pop an icon at the top of your phone. You're going to click Open in Chrome, and it's going to bring you to a Padlet survey. And you can type in right on your phone any questions that you may have about school reopening to our district, or any comments that you might have about our telebriefing this evening. And our district will read through all of the questions and comments, and we will send out an FAQ, frequently asked questions sheet, back out to all of our families, answering the most frequently asked questions from this Padlet survey. So with that said, tomorrow, Mr. Mata will send out the video recording of our school reopening telebriefing from this evening. There will be both an English version and a Spanish version, and he'll also send out the slides for you to reference as well from this evening's posting and telebriefing. So the slides will also be available to all parents, both in English and in Spanish. So we thank our families, we thank our students, and we warmly welcome you back to the reopening of our schools beginning next Monday, April 12th. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening.